Monday, July 17th, 2023 found us in Woodburn, Indiana, a quiet little sleepy town with a couple baseball fields and the Napoleon Defiance Western Railroad. This railway is known for having some of the worst track in America, but it has a site, some old C&W hoppers, hooked up to a Santa Fe bluebonnet. Santa Fe bluebonnet is kind of one of my favorite railroad paint schemes. Santa Fe and BN merged to create BNSF, and as a result, a bunch of their units either got sold off, scrapped, or painted into the new orange and yellow livery. I'm still very thankful that we were able to see this one still in its former paint. This was a nice find, too, to start the day. At St. Joe, Indiana, a green signal warns us of an eastbound on the CSX Garrett Sub. The Garrett Sub crosses the NS Huntington District about 2 miles west on the other side of St. Joe. A YN2 AC-44CW leader is seen leading this coal train heading east to Pennsylvania to get more coal loads. The goal for this Monday was to check out some new locations and some new territory, as Indiana is not one we normally cover. The Chicago line in general on Norfolk Southern is not something that we often get up to, but we ended up doing one in this video. So far, not a bad start to the day. Our next stop on this Monday was Butler, Indiana. This is where the NS Chicago line running from Cleveland to Chicago crosses the Huntington District, running from Detroit down to Peru, Indiana. Even more cool was the Conrail tri-lights that hang around this diamond, on both sides too. So this part of the Chicago line, from Butler to Toledo, is pretty famous. The Chicago line is famous itself, but this particular stretch is famous because all the way from Butler to Toledo, at approximate 67 miles, there's no curves, nothing. Like no curves, not a slight bend or anything. 67 miles of straight track. You'd have to imagine how fast these trains are doing, which to say is about 70 to 80 for passenger trains, about 50 to 60 for manifests. Maybe slightly faster for manifests. Anyway, let's see what we can get up here. Our first train was an eastbound NS manifest on the Chicago line. This was NS 12Q, daily Elkhart, Indiana to Bellevue, Ohio. He would hop off of the Chicago line at Oak Harbor onto the Toledo district and take that into Bellevue. For some reason, this train ended up coming up gliding to a stop just before the diamond, but still ended up going past the signal. I'm not sure what for, as I never heard over the radio what the dispatcher was telling this train. This train is led by an ES-44AC made by GE and had an ES-44DC back there as a mid-DPU. 12Q has a reputation for being an extremely long train, and today was no exception. While 12Q paused in front of me, it gave me a chance to look closely at those AOK NS new gondolas. You can tell these are new by the fresh amounts of paint on them. In any case, 12Q only stopped for about 5 minutes, and then he eventually started going. Like I said, I never heard what the dispatcher said. For some reason, he never came through on the radio, so I couldn't hear what the problem was. We would later find out that there was a work zone going on from here all the way east about a couple miles, and that's probably why he stopped to call for permission to go through. Following closely on the heels of 12Q is NS 310, daily manifest out of Elkhart to Buffalo, New York. And wouldn't you look at that, a surprise, a Kansas City Southern GE leading the way. The Kansas City Southern has one of my favorite paint schemes, but it'll eventually be gone. Following the CPKC merger back on April 14, 2023, CPKC now is unveiling a new paint scheme, which I will show at the end of this video. Over the last couple of times I've been up the Chicago line, 310 has been anywhere from as small as 40 cars all the way up to 160, sometimes with a rear pusher. Today was no exception, with the BNSF ES44C4 shoving on the rear, nose into the train. Another surprise for us later was an hour late Amtrak 49, the Lakeshore Limited from New York, to Chicago, Illinois. This same power would turn around later that night and go back out on Amtrak 48 East. This guy was also going slow through a work zone, so it made for a very nice catch. After 49, we tried to go grab breakfast, but the trains just weren't letting us, as another eastbound comes rolling slowly, this time a high-priority intermodal with some trailer traffic, a Dash 9 leading an AC44C6M. Following on the heels of that intermodal was another one, 28M, a shorty today. This is daily Chicago, Illinois to Baltimore, Maryland, high priority trailer traffic with some intermodals. After 28M, we grabbed breakfast at a McDonald's in the area and moved out to milepost 355. This is a crossing that shows the Ohio and Indiana border on the railroad. We are here in time for another eastbound intermodal with a GE AC44C6M leading a UP CM44AH, basically another C6M rebuild. Our next train was just outside of Edgerton, Ohio, heading westbound with a Dash 9 trio. Seeing Dash 9 leading in this day and age, yet alone leading a trio of them, is a rare sight and a pretty good catch for me on this day. A couple miles later, we found ourselves in the town of Edgerton, Ohio. Maintenance on a crossing was going on, and we were in time for a westbound manifest. Over the scanner, it turned out it was 19M, Daily Crew, Virginia to Elkhart, Indiana. And noticeably short today, but with another cool sight, an EMD duo of SD70 Aces. Following closely on the heels of 19M is empty ethanol cans 67E. This is out of Linden, New Jersey, going back to the BNSF in Chicago. Rail fans will see the BNSF trio behind the NS C6M leader. The C6M is on the nose because of cab signaling reasons. At milepost 334, we ended up in Stryker, Ohio. The signal on the left is telling an approach limited, telling us that Amtrak 29, who's running 6 hours late, is coming in, with a special treat of an ALC number 315 leading. This train had cab signaling and PTC issues going out of Washington, D.C. the day before. Fun fact, he would encounter signaling issues near Butler, Indiana. Unbeknownst to us, we were being followed by an eastbound, so we ended up catching him at Swanton, Ohio. It was 13E with UP power. 13E is as-needed auto racks out of Chicago, Illinois for Detroit's Oakwood Yard. This was a nice as-needed catch as all the racks were empty. We don't normally usually see an all-auto rack train this far west on the Chicago line, unless you're talking about 31M, who comes out of Detroit to go to Gibson, Indiana, but that's usually in the very early morning hours. Not even 5 minutes after 13E passed us, a westbound intermodal showed up with an AC44C6M and ES44DC. This is a high priority intermodal, as you can tell from all the empty piggybacks and some loads, but he was mostly empty. Our last train will be another westbound on the water level route, following closely behind the intermodal. This is 15N Daily Conway, Pennsylvania to Elkhart, Indiana manifest, and yet again more C6Ms. Later in the day, we found ourselves on the I&O's DT&I line, just north of South Charleston at Springfield Road. We're here to see a nice consist, an XUP SD60M and another UP SD60M sandwiching an I&O SD50. This train is getting started up after a slow order just north of here. The last and final train of this entire day was up on the Dayton district in London, where we see NS 116 rounding the curve. A special notice is that he had an SD70M-2 second. It's the first one that's touched the DD in years. NS has brought about 40 or so back into service until they're eventually rebuilt into SD70. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please come back for more. I got some more content coming out here in the next couple of weeks. Anyways, I'm CSC Productions, and I hope to see you guys all in the next video.